Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. It's the second one I've done today, and it's the second one that I've actually ever done globally. So pretty excited. I got to do a little bit of a test run this morning with some of the ladies that came on to our morning webinar. So if you're here tonight, you're in for a bit of a treat because, one, I've had a little bit of practice, and uh, and two, I'm just really fired up. So I'm just super, super pumped to be able to bring this webinar to you and to be able to bring this content to you. So if you just want to type into the chat box, just let me know where you are in the world, and let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me, and that way I know that everybody's good. Great. Hey, Tanya, how you going? Victoria, awesome. So it's 9 o'clock down there, so it's just a tiny little bit late. So well done you for getting on. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And we've got a few people. I know that they've registered, so we might have a few stragglers, so that we'll give them a couple of minutes just to get in to the room. But look, Tanya, while you're here, maybe you might just want to let me know, what is it that you're looking for tonight? What is it that you're hoping to get out of this webinar? What drove you to want to register, I suppose? We've still got some registrations coming through last minute, probably mums trying to get all their kids off to bed and logging on, I would imagine. Oh, okay. Great. That's fantastic. So this really is tonight a really amazing resource and tool for you to be able to, teach the women the content that I'm going to share with you. That's yeah, that's great. Yep, fantastic. And look, I'm all for that. Everything I teach, it's come from, the things that I've learned, the courses and the degrees and things that I've done over the years, and I'm just really passionate about being able to share that knowledge. So yeah, for anyone that is in, the type of sector that you're in, for you to be able to take away, some tools and some resources and content and be able to, impart that to women, and like you say, have a better understanding, then that's absolutely gold. Absolutely gold. So we've got another lady that's come through. I can see Melissa's here. Hey, Melissa, how are you going? Where are you from? Let us know in the chat box where you're from, and what drove you to want to register for this webinar, and what you're hoping to get out of tonight. Hopefully she can hear me. And just while we're doing that, look, I'd really like to get started. We have quite a lot of content that I'm going to go through with you tonight. Now, I know that I actually put the webinar down for an hour. Look, my bad. I'm the kind of girl, when I get excited and I get passionate about something, I can sometimes go off on a tangent. So I can probably talk more than I should. I'm sure my husband can attest to that. But today, when we did the first webinar, I noticed that it actually went over time. So look, I'll try and keep it within that sort of an hour, hour and a half barrier. It would be great if you could get through into the end, because I've got some really awesome stuff that I want to share with you right at the very end. So please don't leave too early, because you'll miss out on that. And look, we'll just get started with everybody here, and I'll just start to explain to you, what tonight's going to be all about. And just get excited, because it's exciting. People seem to think that there's this stigma around domestic violence that, obviously it's a terrible thing. It's a scourge of evil that's on our society. But, too often I find that, society and organizations and people are really focusing in on the dark of domestic violence. And, I'm an out of the box girl. I'm a bit of a renegade. I like to shake things up a bit. And what I am trying to do with Wings of Destiny is really shine the light in on domestic violence, because we need to start celebrating, and I say celebrating, we need to start celebrating the women that have actually left these DV relationships, because it takes a hell of a lot of courage and a hell of a lot of bravery, to be able to leave these domestic violent relationships and be willing to, move forward in your life and be relentless for, being able to get that power back and, be on that search to find yourself. So that's really what I'm about. I have a great vision for Wings of Destiny, and well, before I talk anymore, I'll go through the slideshow and I'll share with you a little bit more about Wings of Destiny, a little bit more about me. So a little bit of a quote to start off with. She transforms her own dark into her own light. She sees her private shadows and loves them. She meets her emotional depths and owns it. She faces her private fears of separations and rises above the illusion. She is the source of herself, and she is always in a state of greater becoming. I just feel that paragraph there is probably one of the most powerful pieces of, written literature that I've ever come across, especially for women coming out of DV, because we really are the source of ourselves, and we have the ability to be in a state of greater becoming. We've just got to reconnect to that core. So a massive big welcome to you, to all of you who are on tonight. It takes a lot of bravery to step outside that comfort zone, and especially if you've been like me, if you're a mum of kids and you've been running around trying to get the dinner done and, kids fed, lunches packed, and everybody off to bed, nice and quiet so that you can sit down and actually do this webinar. Then, that takes a lot of effort. So, kudos to you. I take my hat off to you. And, I just really wanted to say thank you. Thank you for taking the opportunity to come on this webinar and for trusting me, trusting me and trusting Wings of Destiny to be able to, give you content and knowledge and awareness that maybe you didn't have before. So Wings of Destiny really is a breath of fresh air in a fog of DV. Now, I have worked in the domestic violence sector for the last 4 years, and I have I've worked closely with many a different organisation. I've worked with government, councils. I've worked with non-for-profit organisations and charities and shelters and all that sort of stuff. And the one thing that I came across that really ripped my heart out is that there's a lot of people in this sector that are not willing to step outside the box and really teach women that are coming out of domestic violence how they can fully and holistically and completely empower themselves. There's a lot of people in the sector that want to keep women in that box. They want them to continue to feel like victims because it's income generating, because should we, have women that don't need DV services anymore, or should we have, a decrease in women having to go to shelters? People are going to lose their jobs and stuff's going to happen, and funding and all that kind of business. So, I've seen the dark side, unfortunately, to this sector, and I really took a step away from that, because for me, it was really about being able to offer an opportunity and knowledge to women, and give them absolute access to that knowledge, without feeling like they are being, held back in what they're being told. You're getting the full shebang. You're getting the ability to absolutely own, reprogram, and retransform your life so that, down the track, you don't go back into a domestic violent relationship. And that's the biggest key here. So Who are Wings of Destiny? Look, I'll just give you a little bit of a brief understanding as to who we are and who I am, and why you're here and what you're going to get out of it, because, I want you to have that confidence, that you've come into a webinar that is really going to be able to meet your needs and your expectations. So Wings of Destiny is an international organisation of empowerment service to women who have left domestic violence. We are a team of professionals, so it's not just me. Although I have been the face of Wings of Destiny for quite a long time, I am the CEO and the founder of Wings of Destiny. But we have a team of professionals, and we have a team of healers and coaches and volunteers and sponsors, and also international ambassadors around the globe. And we're really striving to not only improve the lives of women and their families who've experienced DV, but, create this movement of people that, we can just smash through the barriers of the status quo and this victim mentality and really become truly empowered and healed. We provide holistic programs. This is not just about sitting in a room with a counselor and rehashing your story and getting triggered and then walking out of that room going, holy hell, I feel worse than what I did when I first walked in. Can anybody, resonate with that? Because, I certainly can. There would be times when I went into the counsellor's office, and I really needed to vent. And it's great. It's great to vent. But sometimes I'd walk out and go, well, what do I do now? And that's also where my passion and purpose was born, to be able to just give women coming out of domestic violence just something more. So we really think it's time that you found you again. It's really is, this is your moment. This is your big shebang moment, because we believe that women who've experienced domestic violence are in need of abundance of healing and support. It's not just about being able to type up a post on a domestic violence support group and hope that you get validated and hope that people give you some kind of empathy and compassion. We are really digging and drilling deep down into how we can start to heal ourselves and how we can start to become our own heroes. And women who have experienced trauma and abuse, they're more susceptible to feelings of stress and depression and anxiety and social isolation, and very much a lot of overwhelm, and impaired self-confidence. And the worst part is, we find that our friends and family, they just don't get it. They haven't experienced what we've been through, and they don't understand that the littlest things can set us off and create a really bad day. And not only that, they may say to you, oh, look, you've left. So what's the problem? You should be happy. You should be, you're away from it. You don't have to worry anymore. But what a lot of people don't understand is that there's an aftermath, and there's an aftermath of abuse that comes after you leave. And it's really about being able to not only heal and empower yourself from what you've already been through when you were in that situation, but now it's about being able to have the strategies and the tools and the resources that enable you to deal with that everyday aftermath that's coming after you leaving the relationship. So, we're all about healing the mind, body, and spirit. And we know that healing just doesn't mean, it's not just about talking through what happened, okay? Our programs are very much focused on healing women from every angle. So whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, all of those, we're really, really digging deep into how we can absolutely, holistically, ultimately, and completely heal you and give you that absolute power. Sounds like Yoda. Absolute power. But in order to find true healing, I'm a little bit crazy. In order to find true healing and empowerment after significant trauma, we must allow our bodies to heal in holistic ways, because we can hold the trauma in our bodies. Trauma is not just felt from a physical and emotional and audible level. Research has proven that we actually hold the trauma in our memories and in certain parts of our bodies, in our organs, in our cells, and our muscles. And a lot of the time, that's why you see women, after they've been through domestic violence or really significant trauma, they might get really sick. Whether that's, something to do with their, if they might have cancer or they might have an autoimmune disease, or they might have just, things crop up, things happen, and research has proven that that is very, very consistent with the fact that we hold that trauma in our bodies, and that toxicity. Your body just has no way of being able to release it unless you have certain strategies, and I can teach you that too. That's one of the strategies that I teach in program 3. So a little bit about the history of Wings of Destiny, and I don't mean to bore you to tears, but like I said, I just want you to feel confident and know that, we're not just some 2-bit organization that's just jumped on and created some free webinar. We've been doing this for the last 4 years, and, I've facilitated this program to, hundreds, if not thousands of women. And I've really been able to transform so many lives. I've seen so many different the transformations of women. It just lights me up whenever I think about it. And a lot of the stuff that we teach is, it's scientifically based as well. So we were actually found in 2015. I found this after my 15 years of experience of domestic violence, and that's part of my story. And after I left that domestic violent relationship, I went through a series of years where I really just wanted to find myself again, and I wanted to find that empowerment. So I did everything I could. I just immersed myself into courses and programs and university degrees and books, and you name it. Spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to just wrap my head around everything. And then I realized that I had so much that I could share with the world, and that's pretty much how Wings of Destiny was born. And along the way, as I said, we've worked with women's shelters, DV support services, community organisations, governments. We've worked with healers and life coaches, and we've had just an enormous amount of national sponsors as well. And and I've been the keynote speaker for many an event, including the Victims of Crime Australia ceremony, of which I shared my story. And and when I share my story, I look to really give people hope that they can come through the other side. So who are these programs for? These programs are really for the people, the women that are wanting to find that absolute empowerment and self-confidence and healing again. Healing after DV has no time frame. We're taught and expected by society that once we leave the relationship, just get over it, man, just get over it. And look, it just doesn't work like that. Life has a way of just throwing us curveballs. And look, this really is about how to leverage from the hurt and how to compartmentalize everything that you've gone through, so that you're not feeling confused anymore, and that you're not feeling overwhelmed, and you're not feeling like it's just everything's too hard, and just worrying about is today going to be a worse day than yesterday. So for people that have experienced domestic violence and they've left the relationship, so I'm just going to stop for a second. If you're on this webinar, I'm really, I suppose, encouraging for you to be on this webinar if you have already left. I don't tend to endorse women doing this webinar if you haven't already left the DV relationship. And the reason I say that is because I don't want you to put yourself in danger. So look, I can't tell you what to do, and you're more than welcome to stay on the webinar, and you're more than welcome to hear what I have to say. But if you still are in an unsafe place and in a domestic violent relationship, then I strongly suggest that you get yourself into a safe place where you can listen to this webinar. And once you finish this webinar, delete your history, delete your browsing history, or anything that gives any signals or indication that you've actually been on one of these, because we just want to make sure that you're safe. So these programs are for somebody that's experienced domestic violence, trauma and abuse, depression, PTSD, anxiety. Maybe you've lost your self-identity and your self-confidence. You're feeling alone and unsupported. You're wanting to break free from the past. You're wanting a fresh start. You want to learn how to deal with your ex moving forward and best care for yourself and your kids. Like, that is a huge one. absolutely huge one. And willing to commit to changing your life. That's really big too. Um, and this is for people that have an open mind. So you really need to have an open mind and be determined that you're not going to be a prisoner of what happened to you anymore. Okay. So if you said yes to any of those things, then you're absolutely in the right place. Okay. So what to expect? Okay. So we have 3 programs of immersion. This obviously is just one part of them. We have 2 other programs that really drill deeper into being able to give you strategies and tools and really help you find that empowerment and healing. And they are full of practical exercises and discussions and music therapy and motivational videos, and they really help you move through the different stages of your personal development. We teach you how to create boundaries. We teach you how to believe in yourself again. Because it's not your fault. I truly believe that at least at the end of this webinar, you have a better understanding of, of why your abuser is or was the way that they are. We teach these programs to show you how, not to allow yourself for your past to define who you are. That's not who you are. It's just a chapter, just a chapter. So a little bit about me, and I won't bore you to death. So please, I know it's late in some parts of the world if you're on here, so I try not to fall asleep. But a little bit about me. So I'm a mum. I've got 5 amazing kids ranging from 23, 16, 14, 13, and 6. And I'm also a Japanese homestay mum. And I live on acreage. My dad's in a granny flat next to us, and I've got my husband, and we've got lots of dogs, way too many dogs, a cat, and I'm a little bit of a renegade. So I love my rock music, but I also love all my other all different types of music. I love to dance around in the kitchen on a Saturday night when we're organising hamburgers, because Saturday night is our hamburger night. And I'm really all about being able to share myself. I've got such a passion, to be able to help women that have come out of domestic violence, and really to share what I know, and really to share my resources with what I know. And look, I'm a strong community advocate. I have really worked so hard in my community. I was awarded the Medallion of Recognition of Service to the City of Ipswich in 2017. And and as I said, I've spoken at many events, and I published my book back in 2016, which is Destined to Be Me. And obviously our program, these webinars, are based on that book as well. And I'm a successful global leader of another business that I run, and I've got business partners all over the world. So I'm wearing a couple of different hats most of the time, but I suppose what I'm trying to convey to you is that I have the ability, and I have the expertise, and I have the confidence and the experience and the understanding to be able to deliver these programs. And I have been delivering these programs for the last 4 years with amazing results. And so enough about me, but for me, it really is about, what lies before us, what lies behind us is nothing compared to what lies within us. You have the most awesome power inside of you. You've just got to unlock it and unleash it. And really, that's what these programs are all about. They're about really starting to reconnect to you, reconnect to your core, and find that inner power and find that inner light. And our mission is really to provide specifically developed online programs for women to find healing and empowerment after abuse, to live confidently with self-belief and empowerment, and no longer be defined by their past. We really are a movement of people. We really are a sisterhood. And the women that have already been through these programs, they're so close knit with each other. We've got little groups all over the place that were created for each individual program, and they've become these little mini tribes where They just, are there to support each other and there to help each other through difficult times. And it really is a beautiful thing to watch. So it's time to come out of the shadows and unmask. That's really what tonight is all about. But what's in it for you? Okay, what are you going to get out of this? Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to get a lot more than what I've written on this screen. Because, when I was writing this slide, I was like, I don't even know how to begin to tell you how much you're going to get out of, these programs. It really allows you to go on a journey it's like you're stepping outside of yourself and you're seeing everything that's happened from a completely different perspective. Because, I truly believe that knowledge is power. We do what we do because we don't know any better. And when we know better, we do better. And really, that's what these programs are all about. They're about being able to give you an understanding and an awareness and an assertiveness and tools and strategies for you to be able to go and impart that into your life, and to make changes, that are necessary for you. And there's so many results that you achieve. I've got women that still to this day message me and say, "Oh my gosh, Kate, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you've done." And I'm always humbled by that because, as I said, this really is my purpose. It really is why I'm here. And a little bit about my story, and I won't go into it too much, but I'll probably share more about it in program 2. But I did go through 15 years of domestic violence, and I left and I went back, and I left and I went back, and I left and I went back, and I did all that stuff. And eventually when I did leave, I left, and, I ended up spending $140,000 at court fighting for my kids. It's been a hell of a journey, but, everything that I've gone through, everything that I've experienced, I truly, truly from my heart believe that I had to experience it for a reason. And the reason I experienced it was so that I could actually bring this to you. I really, truly believe that that is my purpose. That's why I went through what I went through. So I get super excited about having people on my webinars and being able to facilitate these programs because it's just super exciting because I know that there's going to be massive transformations because I've seen it. It's just awesome. And I get excited. Who's excited? Just tell me who's excited because I'm excited. I get excited every time I do this. Tell me. Say, Kate, I'm excited. I want to, or maybe a bit apprehensive. Maybe you're like, oh, I have no idea what this woman is on. I don't know what is happening. I don't know what's coming. Feel free. Send me a chat. Just message anything you want in the chat box. Okay. And it's our vision for women to just have that voice, have that voice and be able to heal mind, body, soul, and spirit all the time. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much into more because, we're obviously hitting the 8:30 mark over here. But look, we've got heaps of testimonies. Here's proof that this is absolutely working around the globe. But we can't become what we need by remaining what we are. I'm nervously excited. I love it. That's the best of both worlds, hey, because, like you're just sitting on the edge of the seat, you have no idea what's coming. I can guarantee you that it's all positive. It's all positive, Kieran, all positive. We can't become what we need by remaining what we are. Way, way, way powerful. This is so powerful, and I tell you why it's powerful. It's powerful because for the longest time, women are hoping and wishing and praying that their abuser is going to change. And they never do. And it just becomes this lost hope and desperation. And why can't they change? And why can't they see what they're doing to me? When am I going to get that apology? And I can tell you that you can't make a person change if they don't see an issue in their actions, So if you can't get that other person to change, the only thing that you can control is you. You have the power. You have, it's like, it's like Glenda from The Wizard of Oz, when she says to Dorothy at the end of the movie, when she's like clicking her ruby slippers together, and she's like, Dorothy's like, I could go home the whole time. I didn't have to go to see the wizard, and Glenda's like, yes, you had the power the whole time, but you just had to find it for yourself. And that really is what Wings of Destiny and these programs are all about. We're about helping you regain and refine that power because you've got it. You've had it the whole time. It's just a matter of us being able to kind of crack it open so that you can see it for yourself. A few statistics for you. So 1 in 3 women have suffered or will suffer domestic violence in their lifetime. That's pretty scary. Because I look at my daughter's classroom and I look at all the girls in the classroom and I think, holy moly, like a third of these girls are going to experience domestic violence in their lifetime. So this is why it's so important to have programs like this, and and for people, women like you, to be able to endorse it and support it and share it with other people, because we're never going to be able to eradicate domestic violence. I mean, let's get real. We're never going to be able to eradicate it. Humanity is always going to have darkness, always. But what we can do is be able to create a platform and a frontier that enables women to be able to not feel like they are tied down to what has happened to them. And that's really what this is about. It's really about really awakening that and giving them back their power. 30% of murders of women globally are committed by a male intimate partner. That is really huge. 38%, that's almost, we're really hitting almost 50% of murders globally. And women between the ages of 15 and 44 on average globally are victims to domestic violence as the leading cause of their injury. And another one is that it takes women on average 7 times to leave a domestic violent relationship, with every time she's returning, the violence intensifies. That's why I get excited, because I truly, truly believe that this program is the program that is reducing that statistic. We've had about 95% success rate already for women that have done this program, that they haven't gone back into a domestic violent relationship. That is pretty significant. That's pretty successful, if you ask me. So that really is a big, big stepping stone. And, we need to be able to let more women know that this type of program is accessible to them. So I need a couple of things from you ladies first. So I'm going to run this through pretty quickly. First of all, if you haven't already subscribed, go onto our website and just scroll down on the homepage and just subscribe. That way you can keep up to date with any new webinars or free stuff or deals or whatever we've got going on. We have a support store, with a few different merchandise, but we know that the bulk of what we do is really our programs, and we run our programs at a fraction of the cost because we want to be able to get these programs out to women as far and wide as possible to be able to help them heal and empower. So, keeping on our mailing list is great because you get to find out all the really cool stuff that's going on. And be distraction free. Try to turn your phones off, keep yourself on mute, be in a quiet, comfortable space, have a glass of water. I certainly need my water because I've done way too much talking today. And turn off any notifications on your social media because that can kind of distract us too. And have a notepad and pen. Take notes. I'm a big believer in taking notes. It just creates that neurological pathway in the brain. I'm a little bit old school like that. I'm not a big fan of these schools that get kids to bring their own device and I have to type everything in. I'm really about being able to write everything down because I really think that there's a lot more retention in that. And have an open mind. That's a really big one because you know what? You've probably been programmed for such a long time to believe, after you leave a domestic violent relationship, it's like this, and that's the way it's going to be, like forever, and that you're just going to have to suck it up. So it's really about challenging those mindsets, challenging those belief systems, and challenging that programming that that you've had given to you, from birth, really, and just from society, from everybody around you. And like I said, to make a change, you must be willing to commit, willing to change, willing to have an open mind, and willing to take action. So we're all about taking action. Whoop, whoop. Okay, and respecting each other's journey. Everybody's journey is different. So, we're not here to compare battle scars at all. This is a very safe place. And look, I'm not going to lie. There may be stuff in here that triggers you. It might be a word, or it might be a phrase, or it might be, something I say about domestic violence. So I really want you to, just have that reality check for a second. As much as I get excited, and much as I get really, pumped up about this, I do understand that, there's sometimes, it just can become overwhelming. It can take us to a dark place. So if that is the case, just send me a private chat message. You've got the chat box there. Send me a message. Maybe close your eyes, take a breath, do that mindfulness for a second, and I teach you how to do all that in program 3 as well, and reassure you that yourself that you're in a safe place. You are definitely in a safe place here. Write down what you think triggered you. That's really big thing. I actually teach you how powerful that is in program 2. So if somebody has told you before, oh, if you have one of those PTSD moments, and you need to just like block it out, and get into a place where you can just think of rainbows, unicorns, and lollipops, I can tell you that I'm going to teach you something completely different. It's going to blow your mind. And in fact, you're going to get excited about having PTSD. I know, right? Sounds ridiculous, but you will. Okay? I can promise you, you will get excited every time you have a PTSD attack or you have a trigger. You will get excited. You'll go, whoop, whoop, something else is going on here. And I teach that in program 2. It's debunking all that programming that we've been taught. We've been taught that PTSD sucks. It's a bitch. But I just teach you something completely different. And call a support person if it's just getting too much for you. I want you ladies to feel safe. I want you to feel protected. Okay. And just message me, email me, whatever it takes. All right. And just some disclaimers. We are not a clinical counselling, service. We don't offer that in any capacity. This is all about being able to give you resources and tools so that you can go and implement it in your life how you see fit. So you don't have to follow everything down to a T. So it's really important to understand the difference between personal confidence development coaching and counselling. Although I have done my diploma of counselling, I do not facilitate this program in a capacity of being a counsellor. I'll say that again. I do not facilitate this program in the capacity of being a counsellor. I facilitate this program in the capacity of being an empowerment and self-confidence mentor and coach. And I use the tools and resources that I've learnt from all my different diplomas and university degrees and books and then courses that I've done in order to impart, messages and strategies and plans and tools to you for the better. So if you are happy with this disclaimer, if you can just all type in the chat box, yes, because I won't be able to continue until you've all done that. Awesome. Thanks, Karen. That's great. Fantastic. Thanks, Melissa. Awesome. Awesome. Yay. Fantastic. Excellent. Okay. All right. So before I bring up the next slide, let's just bring back that reality check. We're now going to start getting into the nitty gritty of understanding what domestic violence is. Okay. So domestic violence causes far more pain than visible marks of bruises and scars. Okay. It is devastating to be abused by someone that you love and thinks loves you in return. We literally grieve when we leave a domestic violent relationship because we can't for the life of us understand why somebody would do this. Especially, when you start out your relationship, everything's great, everything's rosy, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, something happens. And you go, where the fuck did that come from? And I swear. So it's really a matter of being able to understand that it's not just about physical violence. Okay, we're talking about abuse that goes way much deeper than this, and and the scars that come from emotional and mental, psychological abuse. They can be way deeper. than the physical abuse, sometimes. So we're just going to go through a few different attributes of different types of abuse. So we've got physical abuse, and there's, look, obviously we always, straight away we think, oh, hitting, punching, choking, all that, strangling, all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot more to this. It's holding parts of the body tightly in anger and, trying to control with intent to intimidate and cause pain. Okay. Not allowing somebody personal space. Assault with a weapon, obviously. But one of the biggest things is denying you of medical treatment when you are injured or sick. That's physical abuse as well. And look, the reason I go through these, and sometimes they can, as I said, they can be a little bit of a trigger. But the reason that I do this is because I have had women, and especially women that have come through shelters, and I've facilitated this program to so many women that have come into shelters. But they see this stuff, and they had an idea in their head of what they believed was abuse in the relationship. And then I go through this and they go, holy crapamoni, there's stuff in there that I didn't even realize was abuse. And it's like all of a sudden they've got a much bigger awareness and understanding as to what they went through. And not only that, it's like they also start to connect the dots to other relationships. Maybe it's relationships, intimate relationships that they had in the past, or friendships, family, or even colleagues, work relationships. So you can use this as a very wide spectrum, of knowledge and a resource for you to have a better understanding of what all of this is, because you could think that somebody is speaking to you a certain way at work and you think, oh, well, that's just the way that they need to speak to me because I'm their employee. But you may read this and go, well, hang on a minute, that's actually abuse. Whether I work for them or not, it's actually not okay. So all of this, what I do is giving you an awareness. It's giving you back power. It's giving you knowledge. As I said, knowledge is power. So it really is about giving you a wider understanding and assertiveness on, what domestic violence is. And then obviously, after physical, we've got sexual. So, we really don't need to go into a lot of detail with this, but, some of the things that some women might not appreciate is sexual abuse is things like, making sexual insinuations about expected unwanted sexual behavior, like I'm going to have you tonight, but saying it in a way that makes you feel intimidated, and making gestures that make you feel like, you scare you and worry you about what's going to happen. So that's all part of, sexual abuse as well. And then we have emotional abuse. So, we've got humiliation, deprivation, devalidation, all of this stuff, accusing, blaming, trivial and unreasonable demands and expectations, accusing you of menial things that you haven't done, ignoring you. So emotional distancing, isolation, abandoning you, not being there for you when you're upset or when you're having a bad day or something. And, the thing that gets me about all of this, and, tell me whether you agree, is that, this type of stuff, the emotional and the mental stuff, this is probably the most important that we need to understand, because this is the stuff that we can't prove. So when we go to the police or we go to try and get a DVO, look, if we've got sexual abuse or physical abuse, we're more than likely able to prove it. But if, we've got a prime narcissist that is really, really good at being able to, disguise themselves from everybody else, and they do all this stuff behind closed doors, and they don't ever leave a mark on you physically, but they do everything they can to completely destroy you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How do you tell police, how do you tell lawyers, how do you tell social workers, how do you tell people that this stuff is going on? How do you prove it? Because this is the hardest part, and it pisses me off because these women can't get benefits, because they can't get like an emergency payout for being in a domestic violence relationship, because they've got to prove that they were in a domestic violence relationship. They've got to have a DVO. Well, how the fuck are we supposed to get a DVO if we can't prove that we've had emotional and mental abuse? So it's like this catch-22, and it's like this black and white situation, and the justice system sucks. They don't appreciate that, us as women, we go through this shit and we can't prove it. Like it's the hardest situation, and there's so many women and so many stories that I've heard, and and because there's no support and there's no help, women go back to these situations. So for me, that is a really big thing. So if it's like, if you've got women out there that are in this situation, well, give them a program like this that can help them, give them a strategy and how to deal with this, how to protect themselves, because nobody else is protecting them, because they're all looking for some kind of proof. So it's like this. I truly believe that these programs, this is what's being, made accessible to women to help them, take that power back and to protect themselves. And I get really passionate about it. Financial abuse. This is another one that really just grind on me, because it's like women get stuck in this corner where they don't have any access to money, and if they try to leave, so many women get left homeless or sleeping out of their car, or they have to go and bunk down with friends and family, and then that all gets too much, and it's just there's such a lack of support, and then obviously they go to shelters and things like that, but it's just a never-ending cycle. Things like forcing you to engage in fraudulent behaviour, withholding funds to obtain basic needs, forcing you to turn over public benefits. That's a really big one. Sabotaging employment. That even could come down to ringing you all the time, texting you all the time, just causing you massive problems so that you get in trouble at work. And then you've got social. So different social abuses, things like denigrating and defaming your character, especially to strangers, new friends, current friends, family, work colleagues, and neighbours. One of the things that my ex used to do all the time is he used to come home and used to say, "Oh, the neighbours have told me what you do during the day, and the neighbours agree with me that there's something wrong with you. They know that you're a bad mother." It was always him and his army. And, of course, he never spoke to anybody. Nobody ever said anything to him. But, like, at that time, because I was so vulnerable and, what we don't know, we don't know. And then when we know better, we do better. And at the time I didn't know. And since I did my own learning and my own empowerment and my own healing and my own, education on all of this, I realized that it's just the biggest load of codswallop. And, when he says shit like that, I know that it's garbage, and it's just like it really just bounces off me. It comes down to you learn through everything that I'm going to teach you, and here program 2, program 3, everything I'm going to teach you, you learn how to just have it bounce back off you again. It's like a mirror; it just bounces off you, and it's the most liberating thing. Because if you've been stuck in DV and you've been stuck in this mindset of, oh my God, I've got to answer to them, and I've got to do this, and I've got to be careful what I do, and I've always got to walk on eggshells, to be able to have the tools and the resources and a strategy to, to be disconnected from all that is amazing. And that's what I get really excited about. Okay, so parental. Now, we don't talk a lot about parental abuse. Not a lot of counsellors and people talk about this, but this is really significant. Because if you're a mum, and you've got your abuser doing things like not allowing you to make decisions about your children's welfare, and this is the kind of shit that happens after you leave too. So, people think that we go through domestic violence when we're actually in a relationship, but, this stuff ripples out after we leave. And, it's about being able to learn how to deal with that too, and, have a strategy on how to deal with that. Some of the other parental abuses is, mentally manipulating children and telling them lies about you, turning children against you, over disciplining your children, deliberately neglecting children, when you have left them in their care, like if you go out or you've gone out for coffee, or, you've had to go to work or something, and you come back and you really, they haven't looked after the kids, they haven't fed them, whatever. That's all part of abuse. It's messing with the kids, it's messing with you. And spiritual abuse. So, not allowing you to follow your spiritual religious tradition and beliefs, or forcing you into something else, or belittling them, using them against you, or deliberately taking part in stuff that is in complete contradiction to you, in order to challenge you or antagonize you or offend you, or turning your congregation of people where you worship against you. So, again, a whole nother level of abuse. And, mental and psychological. Well, I just feel like this list is completely endless. Things like destruction of personal property, stalking, harassment, threatening to harm you or the people that you love, treating you like a slave or a child, not allowing you to make decisions that, telling you that you're constantly wrong, um, threats of violence, sabotaging your daily routine to make you look incompetent, to make you like, see, I told you were a terrible mum, told you you couldn't do it, stuff like that. And maybe telling them that they're in love, them telling you that they're in love with somebody else, having an affair, you're just going to have to suck that up, or, um, you know, coming, not coming home from work, you don't know where they are. They don't come home for days. I've had women, quite a number of women that's happened to as well. Actually, that they've said that, they just, they wouldn't come home for weeks. And then when they came home, they were just, on another wavelength. They were sort of high on drugs, or they, just completely lost the plot. And then it just goes into this cycle. It goes into this cycle of DB, go back to the honeymoon stage. So, that's pretty much what domestic violence is. There's so much to it. And, as a society, we tend to forget that there are so many things that people do that actually constitute abuse. And that could be your ex, it could be your friends and family, it could be the people that you work with. But understanding that this type of stuff is abuse and it's not okay, gives you that power and that knowledge and that assertiveness to go, you know what, actually, I know that's not okay. I know that's abuse and I'm not taking it anymore. And it allows you to just rise up and really start creating those boundaries. So for me, this is my family. And I've got my daughter on the left here. She's 23. My little Skyvy Pie down the bottom here, she would not smile for our wedding photo. She refused to smile. And then we've got my stepdaughter, Sophie, my little Connor, who's now a big boy, and my big boy, Nicholas, who's even a bigger boy, and obviously my gorgeous husband. And I've been pretty blessed to find a guy that is just amazing and just treats me as an equal. There's absolutely no limitations to our relationship. It's just fantastic. And this is the kind of stuff that, every woman dreams about, especially when you leave a domestic violent relationship. You want to be able to find that partner that, really does appreciate you for what you are. And, but I can tell you now that that doesn't happen until you learn to appreciate you. And that's what I'm going to teach you. So every moment, every person, every choice, every circumstance, every laugh, every tear, every kiss, every embrace, every hurt, every scar has led me right here to this very point, this very precipice of my life. But you know what? I'm just getting started. It's just the beginning of my story. I will never use the word survivor, and I will never use the word victim, because I truly believe that if you are to sit there and say that you are a survivor of domestic violence, then you are anchoring yourself to that experience. I went through domestic violence for 15 years. If I was to continue to tell people that I'm a survivor of domestic violence, well, that means that I'm anchoring myself to that experience. And you know what? Kate is so much more than just that 15 years of domestic violence that I went through. That was just one part of my life, just one part of my story. I am so much more than that, and so are you. And so it's really changing that mindset. Look at it, change the way you talk about it, change the way you think about it, change the way you embrace it. And look at it as, I experienced it. You're not a victim and you're not a survivor, because if you keep using that language, if you keep using those metaphors, you are anchoring yourself to that experience, and you're not going to be anything more than just that. And you have got so much more life to live. You've got so many amazing things to do and see and learn and be part of. And, and your life is just, it's just able to be overflowing with amazingness. So don't anchor yourself to the shit of the past. And that's what I teach you in this course. So narcissists, gaslighters, and psychos, oh my. It's one of those things that, we are so frightened of going into that dark forest, because all of these evils are just lurking behind the trees, lurking in the shadows. But fear comes from something that we can't process, that we don't understand. Fear is it's an imaginary thought. So we, as humans, we fear something because we imagine something to be really bad. And we may have experiences that can correlate with that fear and give us a reason to feel that fear. But when we allow ourselves to have that knowledge, and I say all the time, knowledge is power. When we give ourselves that knowledge, we have that power to have a better understanding of what we're dealing with, who we're dealing with, and how we need to move forward. And that's what this is all about. So looking at what's a narcissist and what's a gaslighter. So a narcissist, there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of the narcissistic personality disorder. But let's just bring it back a second. Now, everybody should have a healthy level of narcissism. So, have a healthy level of narcissism means that you have a healthy level of, self-awareness and self-confidence, and you're able to have those boundaries, and have, be able to convey your message of expectations of what you want for your own personal being and personal space. Right down the other end is what's called ecoism. And eco is just somebody that's basically completely submissive. Somebody that just lets people walk all over them, just never has an opinion, is too frightened to have an opinion and stand up for themselves. So we don't want to be down that end of the spectrum. We want to be able to have a healthy level of narcissism. But it's when you start hitting the spectrum of narcissistic personality disorder, when the narcissism symptoms get out of hand, and they grow to an all-time level that creates havoc. So that's what we're learning about. That's what we're understanding. What is a narcissist? So a narcissist is somebody that has that grandiosity and lack of empathy for others. So they need admiration. Okay, they're frequently described as arrogant, self-centered, manipulative, and demanding. And they may also concentrate on that grandiose fantasy of actually being so super successful, handsome, beautiful, completely brilliant, whatever. And they may be convinced that they deserve special treatment. So people with a narcissistic personality disorder, they truly believe that they're superior or special. But the key to this is that they actually seek excessive admiration and attention, okay? And they do this because they're trying to make up for a lack of self-confidence. Now that's the kicker. And not a lot of people understand this about narcissistic, being a narcissistic personality disorder. We seem to throw, the word narcissist and gaslighter is thrown all over social media and blogs and all sorts of things. But I tend to feel like a lot of people don't have a deeper understanding of what these personality disorders are. And people who are narcissists, they have difficulty tolerating criticism, or feeling humiliated, or rejected. And the reason behind that is because they have such a lack of self-confidence. So if something happens to them that you know that maybe provides an opening and opportunity for them to actually for their real self to be revealed, for their lack of self-confidence to be revealed, you know, that's what they fear most. So they're basically doing everything they can to put that smoke and mirror wall up to protect themselves from that. Whereas a gaslighter is different. Tell me if this is making sense to you. You know, please just, you know, send me some messages and just let me know that you haven't fallen asleep yet and you're still with me. Um, so a gaslighter is defined in psychoanalysis and psychotherapy as a behavior that causes someone to doubt their own judgments and perceptions. Who can relate to that? Okay, where you know you're constantly second guessing yourself, or you have a conversation with them and you kind of think that you're on the right track, and you go to say something and they go, oh no, I never said that, or that never happened, and you know it just devalidates everything that you believed in your own head. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Karen. Yep, it's that, and then you trying to explain that to other people, like you're trying to explain what they did, or what you know how they made you feel. You know, you've got like this stuff going on in your head, but trying to relay that message to other people, it kind of all comes out like blah, 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 you know, because it's just you know it, but it's like trying to actually articulate it is a whole nother level. And gaslighting really is a persistent manipulation and brainwashing that causes the victim to doubt themselves and inevitably lose their own sense of perception, identity, and self-worth. I mean, honestly, you just get to a point where you second guess everything that you do. And it's so dangerous, in fact, that it can get to a point where you've got so much noise going on in your head, so much second guessing, that it becomes unbearable. It literally becomes emotionally, mentally, physically unbearable. And I'll share a little bit of my story with you. You know, when it came to the end of when I was about to leave my abusive relationship, I remember a particular day where we were driving back from somewhere, and it had been carrying on, this gaslighting been carrying on, and a whole lot of other manipulation. But I remember I was just in the car, and it just became so intensely overwhelming for me that I had this split second, this moment where I just wanted it over. I wanted anything to happen. And I just wanted to just open the car door while the car was driving and just throw myself out onto the road. You know, luckily I didn't, but it's just that feeling of overwhelmment. No problems, Tanya, that's okay. Um, there is a replay. I can send you a link, and the link it only lasts for a very short time, but I can send that to you. That's no problem. All right, so yeah, so gaslighting, you know, they're just strategic and calculated, and they are based on blatant lies and exaggeration. You know, deliberately inducing a feeling of fear and vulnerability and insecurity and powerlessness. It really is a malicious game to exert power over another. It really is. So you know, they're just two personality disorders. But you know, look, how can you tell them apart? You know, I'm really going to focus on four. And you know, we've talked about the narcissist, and we've talked about the gaslighter, and there's some of, you know, the I suppose the attributes. You probably read them and go, oh my gosh, I can, yep, tick that, tick that, tick that, tick that. But you know, we've also got our sociopaths and our psychopaths. Now, one thing I want you to understand, the difference between, excuse me, is that a psychopath is a little bit further up the spectrum than a narcissist. So I'll show you the spectrum shortly. But a sociopath is, you know, you're hitting this antisocial disorder, a part of the spectrum. But the key about this is that generally people who are sociopaths, this kind of disorder is manifested from a nurture environment. So you know, it might be that the person has grown up in a narcissistic household, or you know, an abusive household, and or they've had, you know, narcissistic parents, or you know, something. And so generally this sociopath disorder is basically manifested from that. Now, I'm just going to stop there because I've had a lot of women in my programs that turn around and go, oh, well, if it's something that happened to them in childhood, oh, then maybe I should feel so sorry for them because, you know, they poor little boy, poor little girl that, you know, we had to go through all that. I'm sure that I'll be able to fix them and help them. No, I'm going to stop you right there. No, no, you don't. Okay, it's not your job. It's not your job to fix them. It's not your job to heal them. Okay, and I go through this in more detail in program two. It's just really, really important, you know. And because you look, we're like the nurturers, you know. Women have that nurture. You know, we want to be able to be mama bear. We want to be able to fix everybody. But you know, when we look at stuff like this and we look at people that you know that have gone through stuff like that, that's look. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for this type of behaviour. And you know, if these people have got these disorders, they've got these issues. You know, they have to go sort the shit out themselves. They have to be accountable for themselves. And, you know, like I said before, if people can't see an issue with behavior, they're not going to. So it's not up to you to get them to change. But what it is up to you to do is to take responsibility for you and to be able for you to be able to heal it. Because seeing this as it is here on the screen enables you to go, right, I get it. I can see. I can see the difference. I can see what's going on here, and it gives you back that power and that control to understand how to better understand it and deal with it moving forward. Okay, so and it really does depersonalize it because you realize that it's actually not about you. It's actually about them. It's actually about the fact that they are just the way that they are. It wouldn't have mattered if it was you or somebody else. It will always happen. It's always going to happen. It's just the fact that they've got this disorder. So psychopath comes from nature. So it's you know where there are you know picnic short of a sandwich. So something's not right. Something's not right. You know in their you know just in their cells and their DNA and you know all that kind of balancing neurological hormonal you know balancing. I can't remember what the word is for it. But you know that's nature. And look, a psychopath, that's really the most dangerous of all. They're right at the top of the spectrum. You know, and the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is that psychopaths have absolutely no conscience. They're completely cold-blooded, and they are unable to form any type of emotional attachments. Whereas sociopaths, they can actually have emotional attachments and show loyalty for others that are similar to them. They can have that, but psychopaths they don't. They don't. They don't have any loyalty. They can mimic emotions, so they can pretend to have, you know, those emotional bonds, but actually they just have no attachments, emotional attachments to people whatsoever. You know, they're very, very calculated. And, you know, the difference is also they don't need to prove that they are special because they actually just believe it. So they don't need validating by anybody. You know, whereas, you know, you've got like your narcissist and things like that, that they want to be validated because, you know, they're trying to mask their own insecurity. So does that all make sense to everybody? Is that helping? Let me know in the chat box if this is helping you, if this is giving you a better understanding. You know, one of the other things about psychopaths is, you know, they have contingency plans. So they'll plan to actually do something and then they'll put a contingency plan in their mind. So if they don't get the right outcome the first time, they'll have a backup plan to make sure that they get what they want. You know, they'll always attack those with cruelty that they believe are below them. You know, they see themselves up here, and you know anybody else, you know, underneath. That's it. It's you know, there's no grey area whatsoever. You know, they've got a big, you know, criminal uh, versatility. So they can be those sharks in the background that are, you know, like white collar workers that are doing stuff in the background, you know, that are fraudulent behavior, and you know they're just being really calculated about it. You know, they think that they can basically, you know, do any type of criminal activity. You know, then whereas you know others are you know very much. I think it's the sociopath. They're very much very risky behavior and erratic. So they're very impulsive. So they don't plan things out, whereas the psychopath does. Great. That's awesome, Melissa. I'm glad it's helping you understand. That's cool. Thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, I love it when you can tell me that it's helping you, because I know that I'm on the right path and I know I'm on the right track. So, let's just have an understanding too that narcissists and gaslighters are not all the same. As I said before, a lot of people throw out these words on social media, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. And there is a massive difference, because gaslighters, they believe that they do what they do because they are frightened of losing power, whereas narcissists do what they do because they have that insecurity about themselves. So narcissists want people to worship them, whereas gaslighters want people to submit to them. Uh, Narcissists use and exploit people because they are compensating for a desperate sense of deficiency. Like I just said, they've got this lack of self-confidence. Whereas gaslighters are dominating and controlling others because they want to hide their own fear of losing power. So, very, very different between two. But the biggest personality disorder in the narcissistic spectrum of all, that I'm going to share with you, which I haven't had up on the screen yet, is I believe, one of the most dangerous, up there with the psychopaths, and that is a malignant narcissist. So a malignant narcissist, you're now starting to move up the spectrum of narcissistic personality disorder, and you started to pair that with antisocial disorder. Now, these these abusers, these people, there is no end to their terror. I kid you not. These are the most damaging of people. They are beyond merely wanting to focus primarily on themselves and be like held in this high, regarded position. They have a much deeper, darker side to their self-absorption. Malignant narcissists can be highly manipulative. You know, they do not care who they hurt. As long as they get their own way, it doesn't matter. It's like it's like a bulldozer. Get out of my way. I don't care who you are or where you're going, but you're in my way, and I'm running you down. And they see the world in black and white, so there's no grey area for them. And they either see you as friend or foe. There's no in between. Now they will seek to win at all costs, and they'll generally leave a greater amount of pain and frustration and heartache in their wake. And they don't care about the pain they cause others. It's coming back to what we were saying before. You can't make a person see an issue in their actions. If they don't see it, they're not going. They're not going to see it. It doesn't matter how many times you try to tell them, or how many times you cry your heart out to them, or how many times you tell them what they did to you and how it affected you. If they're just not going to see it. You're wasting your breath. This is the bottom line. You're waiting for something to happen that's never going to fucking happen. It's as simple as that. They enjoy this kind of stuff. They enjoy seeing you, feel that powerlessness and that fear and that inadequacy. They get a kick out of it. So some of the traits are, it's much higher up the spectrum, way more symptoms obviously than just your ordinary narcissist. As I said, they've got antisocial disorder traits. There's way more aggression, real petty stuff, and paranoia and liars. Um, oh, right, okay, yep, okay. Um, so narcissistic attributes to the broader community, but gaslighting happened with me personally. So I would suggest he could potentially be, both a narcissist and gaslighter, although there's not a lot of times you find that is the case, because there is a difference between gaslighters and narcissists. It could have been that he was actually a malignant narcissist. So, and I explain to you why, because they will. um, they will basically create ways in which for them to win. So if he's showing, narcissistic attributes to the broader community, so he's being, manipulative and, having this grandiose kind of sense of self. Um, and but then, behind closed doors, he's just, manipulating your mind and, really creating this, breaking down, what who you are and what you believe. uh, Great. Okay. Fantastic. Because this is malignant narcissists. They um, they believe they're the best of the best, but this is the thing. They can shift their opinion to benefit the outcome based on the impression that they're trying to make. So they could be within the community and they could tell somebody that they believe in something, and then but only be saying that just to get what they want. And then they could go to another group of people and do the same thing and say something completely different just to get what they want out of them. So it's like they have this ability to mimic emotions and be able to just change their belief system just in that moment, on the outside to get what they want. I mean, the manipulation in this malignant narcissism just goes way deeper than what we realize. Um, and it can be, like I say, it can be more so undetected in social circles, due to the fact that they can actually mask themselves. um, Another thing about a malignant narcissist is they're really cruel. They're vindictive. If they think that they are being, you're trying to get one over them or you're criticizing them, and they at any point feel like you're insulting them or threatening them, they will like belt back with full force. And believe me, you'll know about it. I truly believe malignant narcissists are one of the most dangerous abusers you can come across. And it's and this is only my opinion. I don't have the research to back this, but it's something that I would absolutely love to do. I'd love to be able to do a thesis on this because I truly believe that malignant narcissists, a lot of them are more so the emotional and mental manipulators because they're just cunning. They don't want everybody else to see what they're really up to behind closed doors. So they'll do everything they can to destroy you, without laying a hand on you. And I mean, look, sometimes they do. They lose the plot and they can't help themselves because they just it's just that's just human nature. But and that's just my opinion. But I truly believe that my ex was a malignant narcissist. Everything that he did, everything that he does, just I go tick 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 tick. And when we know this, like I say, when we know better, we do better. It gives us knowledge is power, gives us a broader understanding because it allows us to see this stuff. And when they're coming towards you and they're doing stuff, or you're getting text messages or emails, or you've got a friend that's maybe explaining something that somebody is doing to them, you can kind of go, oh, I know what that is. I know what it is. And like I said before, it helps you disconnect and helps you depersonalize because it's just them. They're fucked up. It's just them. It's nothing personal. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's actually that there's something wrong with them. So when you can see that, it just helps you to be able to disconnect from it and disconnect from their effects a lot more easier. But I go through that in a lot more detail in my program 2 and program 3. So here's the narcissism spectrum. So narcissistic personality disorder, on the end scale. Then you've got your malignant narcissist, which obviously is your narcissistic personality disorder, and your antisocial disorder, rolled into one. As I said, more cunning, danger increases. And then you've got, your psychopaths, which are just truly, truly evil. So that's, they're your mass murderer type people. They're just the ones that you really want to stay away from. So, okay, how do you cope with a narcissist? And I'm going to try and wrap this up as quickly as I can soon. Yeah, me too. Yep, I hear you, Kieran. So, how do you cope with a narcissist? Well, a short answer, ladies, is that you don't. Okay, you just don't. There's no such thing as coping with a narcissist. Okay, there's no reasoning with a narcissist. You can't make a person change if they don't see an issue with their actions. And look, I'm saying how do you cope with a narcissist? I'm using that in the broadest of terms. So, I'm using that for your narcissists, your gaslighters, your sociopaths, your malignant narcissists. If you've got a psychopath, get the fuck out of there and run as fast as you can. But with coping with a narcissist, it's there is no coping. Narcissists need to be dealt with by the same strategic measures from which they behave. So it's kind of like what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And it's being able to teach you those strategies and teach you those resources and those tools of how to deal with that in the moment. Because if you were to walk out of this webinar and try and do that yourself without learning the techniques that I have in program two, you'll just crash and burn, because there's a trick to it and there is a reprogramming to it. Because you've still got all this trauma that's stuck in your head. You've still got this voice and this noise that's stuck in your head. So it's, we're all about being able to reprogram that. And once you've reprogrammed that, you can absolutely give as good as you get, for sure. And I say that with absolute confidence. So, stop wishing for it to be different. How many times have you gone, oh my Lord, when will this stop? Why can't you just stop? Why can't you just see, what is wrong with you? Please just stop. But look, at the end of the day, they're not going to change. Okay. We just need to get our heads around the fact that they're not going to change. So, you know what? If you can't change them, you can change you. And things will only change when you do, when you find a new strategy, when you start, doing something different. So stop waiting for the apology, stop waiting for the validation, the explanation, because it's never going to come. Now, in saying that, and I'll take you back to, when we were talking about how malignant narcissists can actually mimic other people's emotions, and they actually can, they can change their belief system in certain situations to get what they want. So this is where you come across abusers that will turn around and they will apologize to you, and they'll go, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it, blah, 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 and I'll go to counseling or whatever it is that they say. And you go, and inwardly you're like, oh my gosh, hallelujah, they're apologizing to me. And it's like, this whole, the whole like, goes off, because you've been, waiting for this for so long. But what you have to understand, okay, is that there's no sincerity in it. Okay, these apologies are coming from a place where they're just mimicking emotions in order to get what they want out of that situation. So they might think in that situation, well, if I apologize, I feel like I'm losing control over her. So if I apologize and I pretend to be all remorseful, then I'll be able to get my leg back in. Then I'll be able to get back into the situation and get back in control. So it really is, in that moment, they are being so deceptive and so cunning. So, these apologies, these so-called apologies, they're absolute bullshit. So it's really being able to understand and being able to see that for what they are. And last of all, but not least, pull the plug out, man. Pull the plug out. If you don't want, you don't want to have the TV on anymore. You don't want to have the internet on for your teenage kids that are, sitting up at 2 o'clock in the morning playing, Fortnite. Pull the plug out, man. That's what you need to do. Okay, you can't make a fire burn without adding fuel. Your hurt is their enjoyment and your failure is their happiness. So, you just need to switch your focus. If you're waiting for the next phone call, man, you're still allowing the call to be received. You've got to be in control, and you've got to start deciding what your story is going to be. A pilot becomes a pilot after learning to fly, okay? But the pilot is never going to be anything other than a pilot if they don't take themselves out of the plane and go and try and learn how to drive a new vehicle, okay? You want to start to learn how to drive a new vehicle. Go learn how to sail a ship instead. It's a matter of reteaching yourself, reprogramming yourself. Don't do things the way that they've always been done. There's a saying that says, if you do things the same way again and again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So, now is the time to be able to look at this from a completely broader spectrum of, you've got an opportunity here to learn how to do this differently, to learn how to deal with them differently, communicate with them differently, behave with them differently, write different texts, write different emails, whatever it is. There's so many tools and strategies that I will teach you in how to do that, but I will absolutely show you how to become the commander of your own ship, and you will become that sailor. You won't be the pilot anymore. I will show you how to do that, and I'll show you how to do that with absolute confidence. Um, and don't complain that the shower is too cold and not turn on the hot water. Awesome. It's it excites me. It gets me so fired up because I know undoubtedly that this is the stuff that women need. They don't need to be sitting in a corner feeling sorry for themselves, going, I need to go see a counselor, I need to go, I need to, talk about my shit. And, and all that's all part of the process. Like, don't get me wrong, that's all part of the process. But we need a bigger toolbox. We need a bigger repertoire of stuff that can help us grow and expand and heal and be empowered moving forward. And that's why I just get so excited about these programs. I really do. I get so fired up. All right. So we're really coming to the end of this now. The first step to deciding to get somewhere is to decide that you don't want to stay where you are. So look, if you have been on this free webinar tonight and you are liking what you are hearing and you're really wanting to take your empowerment and your healing to the next level, and you really want to have that toolbox, you want to have that repertoire and learn that new programming and that, those strategies in order how to deal with things, from here on in. Then, the next stage is looking at programs 2 and 3 for you. And I say that with all sincerity and confidence. The women that I have taught, every single one of them has gone through each one of these 3 programs, every single one of them. I haven't ever had a woman come to me and say, I don't want to do program 2 and 3. I think I've learned enough, because they see that there's so much value in what they can really embrace and what they can really learn and really take on. It's a whole new ball game. And it's just awesome because, we get to have this tribe of sisterhood and we get to like work together. Program 2 is called Base Camp. So we talk about battlefields, the past and the present. We talk about the web of lies. We really start to as if we really step outside ourselves and look at everything from an out of body experience. And we really start to pick things apart and really understand it, because, that's what we need to do. In order to understand stuff, we need to, we need to have an instruction booklet. And that's basically what this is. We're going through what you went through, because as I said at the beginning, no person's journey is ever the same. So we really look to unpack what you went through. This becomes a really personal exercise. It becomes a really personalized program. And then we talk about power of state. So that's all, really power of your mind. For me, a couple of years ago, I went to Tony Robbins and I walked on fire. That's right, I walked on fire. Man, it was 2,000 degree heat. And, we were in the audience and Tony Robbins was standing on stage and he was saying, what, generally, if a human was supposed to, walk over these hot coals, this 2,000 degree heat would just melt the flesh off your bone. But don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And I walked across the fire, and I can tell you what, it completely changed my freaking life, because I realized that I am absolutely unstoppable and indestructible. And it's, lessons like that I've learned through my journey, that I've learned through all of my lessons, my courses, my books, and my programs that I've done, and even stuff that I've learned from Tony Robbins. I really look to create that collective and really impart that onto you and show you how you can be relentless and how you can be unstoppable and indestructible as well. So program 3 is all about excavation and acceleration. We're just really taking this to the next level. We're looking at boundaries. We're looking at how to create boundaries in your life. You might have people in your life right now that not necessarily abusive, but you might have family and friends, and they're just not serving your highest good. How do you create boundaries with those people? You might even have children, that have been brought up in this abuse, and they may have, turned into starting to, show attributes of being a narcissist. I've got a few different women that I coach that are going through that, and they message me and go, how do I deal with this, Kate? So it's really creating those boundaries and those expectations, and burning bridges. If you don't want to go backwards, then just burn the bridges behind you. Then you have to move forward, and I teach you how to do that. And really exciting stuff is etheric fields. So we go and we talk about chakras, and we talk about how we can use essential oils for emotional healing. Um, and we talk about crystals, and we talk about how you can protect yourself, and we talk about mindset and mindfulness and meditations and all that kind of stuff. So really, really building that toolbox for you and giving you a huge repertoire of stuff that you can use in different situations. It's really, really exciting stuff. And then, we're really drilling into finding you again. Let's excavate you and just accelerate into the future, like accelerate full force what you want for your life, because you can absolutely have it. Everything you want is there. It's sitting in a vortex for you to take. It's just waiting for you. You just gotta be able to, just crack open that core, that light of you, and you'll be able to grab it with both hands, and you'll never look back. It's very, very exciting stuff. So why enroll in program 2 and 3? Well, we do lots of activities, it's lots of interaction. So not like this, everybody gets to talk and have a conversation and just get to know each other. And we just learn, the hows and the whys and the whats. We just take it to a whole new level. And we really show you how to find your light and sanity again. So if you've been sitting there for the longest time going, up until now, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, I feel like I'm going crazy, I can guarantee you when you finish this program, you go, there's nothing fucking wrong with me. I'm amazing, I'm indestructible, I'm unstoppable, I'm awesome. And you say that all in the most healthy, narcissistic way possible, because you are brilliant and you're perfect just the way you are. And I show you how friggin' perfect you are. So look, we run these courses, and we really do them at a fraction of the cost. These courses, run other courses like this around the world. It's just worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And, Wings of Destiny, we've done everything we can to alleviate the cost around this. We've obviously got to cover our own overheads and things like that. But, we really want to be able to get these courses out to women, and just make them, fully accessible. And look, having this special, this is really key as well. Having this special is really awesome, because you know you you're getting a massive opportunity here. Now we've got, as I said, we've got program 2 and we've got program 3. Now generally program 2 is $59.95. Now the program, I think it runs for like about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And it's normally $59.95, but today, and I've said until the end of the webinar, but I'm going to keep that open until tomorrow. I don't expect everybody to just be impulsive, but if you really feel like you're ready for this, then just do it. Like Sheila Booth says, just do it, because you'll know in your gut. If you get that feeling in your gut that goes, you know what, this is for me, I need to, get that niggling feeling. Just listen to that. That's your intuition, and I show you how to tune into that as well. But the end of the up until tomorrow, it's only $29.95. So that's half price pretty much. And program 3 is generally $99.95, and that's where we go through all the chakras and protection, all that kind of stuff. And until tomorrow, it's only $69.95. So there's a couple of codes that if you click the button up the top, it'll take you to the website, it'll take you to the booking online, and then all you have to do is just put in that coupon code, and it just, when you go to checkout, it gives you those discounts. Now, in saying that, we've also got, I do a one-on-one mentoring. Now, the one thing that I haven't told you is that I'm actually a Reiki practitioner. So I'm an intuitive healer. That's one of the skills that I also have, and certifications that I've done. Woohoo! Awesome. I can't wait to work with you. Honestly, it's going to be super fun, super, super exciting. And yeah, I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a Reiki practitioner. And so what I'd really like to do for anybody that's looking at taking these courses is, if you look at taking, program 2 and program 3, and the one-on-one mentoring, if you look at doing the package, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you a free Reiki healing on a video call, just you and me. So and we'll really start to delve into a lot of stuff, and to see if there's any like spiritual holds over any of the stuff in your life, and see how, if we can break stuff off, or clear some blockages, energy blockages, from things that, from the trauma and the abuse. So I will do that for you, and however long it takes, I'm not going to put a time frame on that. So I'm going to give you that, as a gift. That's my gift to you if you take this empowerment and healing package. And if it takes us 3 hours to do it, it takes us 3 hours. But it's very, very powerful. And it just really starts to re-energize you, and just presses the reset button. That's what we want. We want to press the reset button. Um, so the empowerment and healing package. Sorry, I'll go back to the one-on-one mentoring. The one-on-one mentoring, that's even more super special, because in the mentoring that I do with you, and that's again a one-on-one thing, I'm actually going to show you and reprogram you. I'm going to reprogram a neurological pathway in your brain, so that every time you have an anxiety attack, or every time you have a PTSD attack, or a trigger or something, I'm going to reprogram you so that in those instances you will have a tool that you can use, and that you get warm fuzzy, and that you don't go back into that state of anxiety and depression and fear and all of that. So it is completely transformational. I mean, I've had women, and I've facilitated this, face to face, where I've had women on the floor. Look, they've been in tears, they've been crying, howling, and then they've been laughing, like belly laughing, to the point where they can't breathe and their tummy hurts. And just the way in which I take them, the journey in which I take them, is just, it's hugely powerful. And I honestly believe that's one of the biggest parts of this empowerment and holistic healing after domestic violence, being able to reprogram the brain and reprogram your moments of anxiety and PTSD and triggers and fear. This is just invaluable. And I offer that at $199.95. But look, if you were to take program 2 and program 3 and the mentoring, where we're doing that reprogramming, generally that's like $300 or something. I'm going to give it to you today, for $235. It's probably much, 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 much less than what is enabling Wings of Destiny to cover the costs. But this is where I come back to. It's, these programs have got to be accessible to women. You've got to be able to have that ability to to have these tools, to have this in your tool belt. So that's a saving over $100. So if you really want that, jump over to the website. You can click the button up the top, click here, and that will take you over, and you can click empowerment and healing package and put in that code. Look, if you just want to do the program 2, or just want to do the program 3, by all means do that too. And you might just want to do one of those, and then do something else later down the line. But you've got to do what's right for you, and that's what really this is about. You've got to listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, and know that whatever decision you make is for your highest good. But if you need any more questions, or you need any more clarification about any of this, please don't hesitate to email me at info@wingsofdestiny.life, and I'll absolutely respond to you personally. If one of the team gets a hold of it, I'll get them to forward it to me straight away, and I will respond to you personally. And and even if you want to jump on a call and have a chat, I'm more than willing to do that. But those specials, they're only there. They'll last. They're only active until tomorrow. So if you want them, if you really, and this is the thing, this stuff is for the people that are really committed and really dedicated to wanting to change their life and take their healing to the next level. We're not fucking around anymore. We're getting serious, and we're taking back our power. We're taking back that warrior woman power and that light, and we're saying we want to be the masters of our own destiny, and we're taking control. We're taking back control of what's happened to us, and we're not going to be defined by our past. And in saying that, a last quote for you: fairy tales are made of women who save themselves, okay, and refuse to allow others to mess with them. They adjust their crown and walk through the fire of the evil to find their magic light on the other side. They are their own happily ever after. I get goosebumps when I read that. You know, even though I wrote it myself, it beams me up every time, because it really is about us being our own heroes. It's about us being able to save ourselves. We have the power. We have the ability. You know, we've just got to crack that open, man. And that's what I'm here to help you to do. And I would just be so intensely honored. You know, Kieran, I would be so honored to be part of that journey with you. You know, I'm super, super excited to see you, and to meet you and just hear all about you, and, you know, and just get you, you know, really taking your life to the next level, because I can guarantee you that life will never be the same. And that's a good thing. So, on that note, ladies, I'm going to bid you adieu and good night or good day wherever you are in the world. But before I go, I'm just going to really say to you, I am so super grateful and so super blessed that you have taken the opportunity to jump on this webinar today with me, and that you have allowed me to be part of your journey in some way. And if you don't choose to take this journey to the next step, that's totally fine. You know, everyone, each to their own. You know, but if you do, it's just going to be one hell of a fucking ride, because I can tell you, it's just going to be just nothing but amazing. You know, it's nothing but amazing results. But thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting me and listening to me, and just being part of this movement. And, you know, and if you can share this with other people, if you've gotten some value out of this, and you can share this with, you know, friends and other support groups and things like that, you know, us at Wings of Destiny would be most grateful, because it's our truest vision to try and, you know, reach as many women around the globe as possible. So until then, my soul sisters, thank you again. Thank you so much, and I hope this has been of value to you tonight. But much love and much light to you, and I am freaking excited to see you in program 2. So until next time, see you then. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Lots of love and light.